It began as any ordinary night, quiet and still in the town of Crestwood. It was late autumn, and most people were settling into their routines before Halloween. The streets were empty, with only the occasional car driving down the road. Sarah Bennett, a young woman in her early 20s, was in her apartment. She had just returned from a long day at work and was looking forward to some downtime. As usual, she flipped on the TV for some late-night entertainment. It was a familiar ritual. Background noise as she unwound, flipping through channels, watching reruns of her favorite shows. It was a routine that calmed her, but on this particular night, it would be interrupted in a way no one could have ever predicted. We will also reveal if our previous story that the creepy death of Joyce Vincent is true or fictional at the end of this video, so stay tuned. Sarah sat on her couch, the glow of the TV illuminating the dark room. The clock on the wall read 11:58 p.m. She absent-mindedly changed the channel, not paying much attention, when suddenly her screen flickered. At first, she thought it was just a brief glitch, but the flicker lasted longer than usual. The image distorted, the colors scrambled, and then, in a flash, everything went completely black. Sarah stared at the screen in confusion, waiting for it to return to normal. But then, something unusual happened. The screen faded from black to gray, and then, to her horror, static appeared. The familiar program she had been watching had disappeared entirely. But this wasn't the usual static of a channel lost to the airwaves. This static seemed to pulse, almost alive. Sarah felt a cold shiver run down her spine as the static intensified. The quiet, comforting silence of the night was suddenly filled with an eerie hum. And then, just as Sarah was about to turn off the TV, the screen cleared. A figure appeared. It was a man, standing still in front of an ominous black background. His face was completely obscured by a featureless, smooth mask. The lighting cast deep shadows around his body, making him seem almost unreal. The moment Sarah saw him, her breath caught in her throat. The figure wasn't speaking, but the tension in the air was palpable. Then, a mechanical voice began to speak from the TV. "Do you hear it? They are coming." The words were simple, but they carried an unnatural weight. The voice was distorted, as if filtered through several layers of noise, making it almost impossible to understand at first. But Sarah heard it clearly. "Do you hear it? They are coming." Sarah's heart began to race. She wasn't sure if it was some kind of prank, a bizarre glitch, or something far darker. Was it some kind of special broadcast meant to get attention? But then the voice continued, and what it said next chilled her to the bone. "This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test." The words echoed through her apartment. Sarah instinctively reached for her remote control and started pressing buttons, hoping to change the channel, but it wouldn't respond. She tried to turn off the TV, but the screen remained frozen, showing the man in the mask, his dark figure looming as the voice continued. "This is a message for the awake. A warning. They are coming for you." Sarah's skin prickled. Her mind raced, trying to process what was happening. She was alone. It was late. What did this mean? Why was she hearing this? Why was the voice speaking directly to her? The man in the mask continued, his voice cutting through the static with terrifying clarity. "Not all will survive. You will be tested. Only those who are worthy will remain. Beware, for you are not alone." Before she could react, the screen suddenly flickered again, returning to static before the image cut back to normal programming, as if nothing had ever happened. Sarah sat there, frozen in disbelief. Her heart was pounding in her chest. The TV was back to normal. The familiar late-night show she had been watching before the interruption resumed, as if the event had never occurred. Confused and shaken, Sarah grabbed her phone and tried to call her friend Amy. The call went straight to voicemail. She tried again, but nothing. A growing sense of unease settled over her. Was this real? Had she imagined it? But deep down, she knew what she had heard. It had been too vivid, too clear. Her mind refused to let go of the chilling words. They are coming for you. Across town, other viewers were experiencing the same strange interruption. In fact, it wasn't just Crestwood. News reports began to surface of similar incidents in nearby towns, even as far as neighboring states. People were all reporting the same broadcast: a masked figure, a distorted voice, and the same cryptic message. Do you hear it? They are coming. Some viewers had heard more specific warnings. You have been chosen. Prepare. As the night went on, panic started to set in. What was happening? Was this some kind of coordinated prank, or was it something more? People started calling the TV station in droves, demanding answers. But when the station's staff were asked, they had no explanation. The broadcast had come from their airwaves, but no one could explain how it had happened. The equipment had not been tampered with. The broadcast had not come from any scheduled program. It was a mystery. Local authorities were called to investigate the unusual broadcast, but they found no signs of foul play. No one at the station had any idea who the masked man was or how the broadcast had occurred. Some suggested it was a hacker, but why go to the trouble of hijacking airwaves just to deliver a cryptic message? Sarah couldn't stop thinking about what she had heard. She reached out to others online who had witnessed the same strange occurrence. They were just as confused, just as frightened. They had all heard the same thing, and they all wondered if anyone would ever get answers. Some began speculating that it could have been a government test, a test of the emergency broadcast system gone wrong. Others believed it was part of some larger conspiracy. But then there were the darker, more unsettling theories. What if the masked figure wasn't just some man behind a screen, but something far more sinister? Some believed the figure was a messenger for a shadowy group, a warning to the public. Others theorized that it could be part of an alien signal, a message sent by extraterrestrials trying to communicate with humanity. As the days passed, more people reported seeing similar broadcasts in other regions. Theories started to grow wilder and more elaborate. Was this an experiment by some secret government organization? Or was it an extraterrestrial message trying to warn Earth of something coming? Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something important had happened that night, something that might never be explained. And then, just when things seemed to die down, the strange broadcasts resurfaced again and again. People began to report sightings of strange figures lurking in the shadows. Some reported odd dreams or visions, as though they had been marked somehow, chosen by the same mysterious force. Some claimed to hear strange, indistinct voices in the night, warning them of an approaching threat. The phrase, "they are coming," seemed to be the only thing that connected these bizarre occurrences, and it echoed in the minds of those who had witnessed it. Sarah, haunted by the voice that had spoken to her, began to dig deeper. She started visiting forums, joining chat groups where others who had heard the broadcast gathered. As she learned more, she discovered a pattern. Other broadcast incidents had occurred in the past, similar in nature but less widely publicized. They had always been dismissed as glitches or hoaxes, but now Sarah wasn't so sure. Something was happening. The broadcast wasn't just a random occurrence, it was part of something larger, something purposeful. One evening, as she sat with her laptop scrolling through yet another theory, an email arrived in her inbox. It was from an unknown sender. The subject line was simply, "They are coming for you." The message inside was a series of cryptic instructions accompanied by an encrypted video file. Sarah hesitated, but then curiosity overcame her. She opened the video. The video was dark and grainy, much like the original broadcast. And there, once again, was the man in the mask. His voice, distorted but familiar, came through the speakers. "The time is near," he said. "You must prepare." Then the video cut out. For Sarah, this was the final straw. Whatever was happening, whatever the broadcast had been, it wasn't over. She wasn't sure if she would ever get the answers she needed. But she knew one thing. She had been a part of something much larger than herself, something mysterious and perhaps dangerous. And she wasn't the only one. The midnight broadcast incident has never been solved. Despite multiple investigations, no one has ever come forward to claim responsibility. Some believe it was an elaborate hoax. Others think it was a government experiment or something far darker. As for Sarah, she's left with more questions than answers. What was the purpose of the broadcast? What was the masked figure trying to tell the world? And, most importantly, what did it mean when he said, "They are coming"? The mystery remains, and so do the unanswered questions. Perhaps some mysteries are better left unsolved. But for Sarah, the midnight broadcast incident is a night that will never be forgotten. So, what do you think? Is this story true or not? Let me know in the comments, and we will reveal the answer in our next video. Now let's talk about our previous story, the creepy case of Joyce Carol Vincent. This story is undeniably true, backed by official reports, news coverage, and the investigative documentary Dreams of a Life by Carol Morley. Joyce's life and untimely death were thoroughly examined through housing records, police reports, and interviews with those who knew her. The heartbreaking reality of her unnoticed passing for over 2 years in the middle of London highlights the impact of social isolation. Her story has since been referenced in discussions on loneliness, domestic abuse, and mental health, proving that sometimes truth is more haunting than fiction. If you enjoy our stories, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Click the link in the description to buy me a coffee. Thank you so much for watching.